beautiful sweet baby. So today I want to do a Baddies Caribbean review on the last episode of Baddies Caribbean. So I know I pretty much did not really do a lot of reviews and keeping it up, but I had to talk about this last episode of Baddies Caribbean. And I'm not really going to talk about the full episode. I just have to specifically talk about like the last 20 minutes of the episode from last night. So if you guys were unaware, the whole situation with Diamond the Body pretty much getting bodied by Taseki came out, and we seen the damage that Taseki had done to Diamond. I feel like us as fans, we really didn't know how to really feel about it, because in one sense we were like, well, you know, Diamond was talking crap. But then in another sense, we were just like, well, that's a lot for, you know, somebody to do to somebody when, you know, it really wasn't that deep. And it really gave that it kind of all came about out of nowhere, because it was just kind of like, it seemed like everybody was getting along just fine on the show. So where did all this animosity come from? And after watching this last episode, I can definitely see where everything shifted and how everything started. So let's get into the episode. So pretty much everything starts with, you know, these girls all having a dinner and them talking about their last farewells and what they enjoyed and what they didn't enjoy. Pretty much just them wrapping it up. Then, you know, Miss Chinny Chin Chin, Natalie Nunn, sits here and says that she's got a baddie chain for one more girl. So, of course, you know, everybody's all looking around trying to figure out who's going to get the baddie chain. So then Natalie pretty much explains that, you know, she has a baddies chain, and the three people that are up for getting the baddies chain is Meatball, Diamond the Body, and Callie. So then Natalie, being messy as she always is, because she wouldn't be Natalie if she wasn't messy, sits here and says, raise your hand if you want Meatball to be the, you know, person that gets the baddies chain. Then she does the same for Callie and Diamond. It was pretty much a unanimous decision, and everybody pretty much chose Meatball to get the chain. That's when Diamond speaks up and says, well, she finds it to be extremely fake and weird that just right before, because I actually forgot to mention that. So just right before Natalie announced this whole chains thing, Tinka actually sits here and talks once again about how upset she was at how Meatball, you know, didn't support her on her getting the baddies chain. So which then brings it to the fact of Diamond speaking up in regards to everything, saying she finds it to be extremely weird and fake that now Meatball gets a chain after she's been crying about this chain the entire season, as well as calling the chain fake, as well as saying, you know, people don't deserve the chain, as well as saying what you need to do to get the chain's cheap, the chain can be broken easily. So, you know, all of this is being said. And, you know, Diamond actually speaks up and says what I feel 90% of the world was thinking that was watching these episodes. So when that happens, then these are the faces of the girls. Everybody just started to look at Diamond like, girl, why are you even saying this? Why are you being rude? Why are you being mean? So this just ends up happening where everybody kind of gives her the side eye. And you could just definitely see the animosity and the tension in the room. That's when the big linebacker, Rick Ross, the boss ass Rolly, sits here and jumps up out of her seat and runs to go give Meatball the chain, leaving Natalie shook like, well, if Rolly wants to go give her the chain, then I'm gonna let her go give her the chain. And then here goes Tinka's fake ass jumping out of her seat as well, running over like, oh, I'm gonna put the chain on Meatball because that's my sister. Mind you, this is the same woman saying that she's not going to deal with Meatball anymore, and that outside of the show, she doesn't want to be cool or cordial anymore. She literally said this probably 5 minutes before Natalie announced who was getting the chain. Which is why Diamond popped off and was like, didn't we just sit here and talk about this and talk about... So yeah, it was weird. So then, you know, Rolly and Diamond are trying to give Meatball the princess treatment at this point and give her her chain because they feel like she deserved it. So now Meatball's all extra giddy because she finally got the chain that she was looking for from the time the season started all the way down to the time that the season ended. And then you just have everybody at the table being fake at this point and hyping up the fact that Meatball got a chain and no one else did. But then once again, messy tail ass Natalie sits here and says, I wouldn't be me if I wasn't me. And I had a second baddies chain, but after you acted the way you acted, Diamond, you're not going to get a chain no more. And Diamond was in the corner looking like, girl, good, because I didn't want that damn chain. So here's my thoughts. I think that from the time Diamond walked through the door, even from the time that Diamond auditioned, that these girls were jealous of her. Especially Natalie, because I feel like a lot of the times, a lot of these girls don't really have issues with these girls. The only person that has the issue is Natalie, and she sets the tone for the other girls to follow. Because let's be for real, Natalie is the boss of the show. She's in charge of who comes back and who doesn't come back. It's pretty much like if you want to stay on the show and if you want to keep having the success that you're having, you have to kiss Natalie's ass as well as ride Natalie's coattail in order to continue to keep triumphing with the show. Diamond even took to her TikTok to talk a little bit more about everything, and she was so right. And it's like she didn't want to burn bridges again after she apologized to these girls, but Zeus knows what they're doing, and they pretty much did this the way they did it simply because they want to kind of rise animosity and create storylines between the girls. So, of course, Diamond was trying to keep things cordial and not cause new problems. But at the same time, she wanted people to hear where she was coming from and letting everybody know that these girls do not like her, which is why, things rose the way they did at the reunion. And I just find it fake that Anna was acting as if she was honestly starting to get around to Diamond the Body. But then now all of a sudden, since she sees that like Taseki and all that is not really effing with her, that's when she started to kind of fall back, which I thought was weird. And honestly, Taseki knew that if her and Diamond got into a fight, that Diamond would not have been able to do much of anything to her. And I think it's crazy how when the season where Vicky was on there, she didn't want to fight Vicky simply because Vicky was fragile, but she was okay with fighting Diamond like she was going to be able to fight back that much more compared to Vicky. And I'm not even trying to say that Diamond don't got hands like that, but the energy that she give that to E.T., who actually could hold a fight with you. Because E.T. did hold her own in the fight, even though, Taseki got the best of her. But I feel like she was just doing the most with Diamond, and it's just showing that Taseki was low down, vile, and evil when it came down to her animosity towards Diamond. I think in this moment, Tinka got on my nerves the most because she sat here and complained about how Meatball acted with her and her chain for the entirety of the half of the season. And she then sits here and starts acting like her and Meatball are just best friends and sisters and all this other bull crap, running over to give Meatball her chain right after she just said that she's not going to deal with her no more. It was just fake on top of fake on top of fake, weird on top of weird on top of weird. And no shade, but the two people that are sitting here on the screen, Anna and Taseki, they were one step away from looking as bad as Meatball this season because everybody else was done up except for those three. I felt like Taseki wore the hell out of this wig. Anna, I just felt like her hair wasn't done most of the time either on this season, and they just really gave a mess. But that's my opinion. What's yours?